guys, my name is Robert Mai. I'm a composer for film, for video games. Welcome to my music studio. This is where I do most of my work, and I'm here to just kind of give a talk about what it's like to be a film composer, you know, like what's the process behind it. More of my background, I studied film in Chapman University as a screenwriter and director. I took some editing classes, I took some sound design classes, some composing classes. So I worked on 5 feature films, 5 video games, a bunch of podcasts, over 60 short films. Some of my projects can be found on Amazon, on Netflix, on Showtime. And I just want to give a huge shout out to the Vietnamese American Society of Creative Arts and Music for having me on board this. Thank you so much for sponsoring this talk. I'm super grateful to be talking to you all about my process. So yeah, let's begin. I grew up like loving movies. Like I just always found it magical just seeing like how like music can work in a film and how it can impact a narrative. Like one of the first films I remember seeing like growing up in theaters was Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and I think that was when I first was truly aware of the existence of film music and the impact that it can have on audiences. So yeah, film music can be really important to the telling of a story. You know, it can be direct, it can be emotional, it can pull an audience into like what the tone of the film is from the very opening seconds. It can also draw from like so many different musical influences. Like it's not just classical music, it can be hip hop, it can be rock, it can be heavy metal, it can be jazz. Every single day is just like kind of different for me, which is what I find so exciting about this art form, is that like I'm never complacent, I'm never kind of like using the same solution for like 2 different films. So what are the aesthetics of film music? By definition, like film music is music that's meant to serve the film. It's meant to fit in with the narrative, it's meant to blend with the sound design, it has to tell a story any way that it can. There's a mixture of like modern and classical techniques when it comes to film music. Like it's not really bound in the rules of like classical and concert hall music. Like there's really so many unconventional ways to like use music to tell a story that is not really bound in the rules of like traditional orchestration. So what can film music do? So in one example, it can provide like a sense of growth and development for a character in a film through the use of a motif or a theme being played in different disguises. So like for the film I'm going to show you, like I have this motif, a very simple motif that's just like a few notes. Here's this journey where it starts off being like innocent and kind of goes towards being psychotic, and then back towards being like happy and accepting. So you'll see when you see this clip. Music can also serve as an emotional extension of like what the actor is acting on screen. Through this clip, I'm going to show you like there's this scene of this mother who's going through this process of like losing her son and just having this heart-wrenching grief. The director told me to write the music as an extension of like how she's crying, how she's screaming. It's kind of like living and breathing with her.
My name's Mitchell Lewis. I'm a private with the United States Army. I'm here to deliver a message for you. As your son, Leon Dixon Jr.
Yeah, it is. Is everything okay? What happened to my baby? Leon! Leon, come to this door!
This is an official notice. The The Army sends its deepest condolences.
No.
On the flip side, music can kind of serve as like a commentary what's not on the screen. If the characters are kind of like neutral, or if they're happy, the music can kind of be like sad or, you know, kind of tense to show that there's more going on underneath the scene than what we really see. So for example, in the scene I'm going to show you, like there's these two characters and there's a lot they want to say to each other. They're not really quite comfortable like bringing things out into the open. So it's kind of like this tension that's kind of like brewing underneath.
I'm my own person now, so I can see who I want to see. Are you almost finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
So for more like fantastical and historical films, like the music can kind of provide a sense of time and place, a way for the audience to put themselves in this world that they may not be familiar with. So the music kind of serves as an anchoring point for the audience, so they know like how they would react in this time and place, like how would they put themselves in the shoes of the character. So yeah, for the two films I'm going to show you, like the first one kind of is like a fairy tale that takes place in like a Japanese, Indian, and French setting. So the music is very important in kind of like anchoring the audience and like which setting are they in, like what time period are they going to be in.
Chalilida.
姉の結婚式は帝国中の人々に知られました。そしてしばらくの間、人々は迫ってきている暴力の存在を忘れていました。
And the other film I'm going to show you, it takes place in like Wonderland. It's like the Queen of Hearts. And so the music is pretty much a tribute to that fantastical setting. It's like this dark, weird, very like mentally unstable world. And then for comedies, music can kind of really accentuate comedic beats, you know, it can be very important in kind of extending the humor of a film.
If you so dare is to touch it, why I'll...
And then music can also kind of serve as a way to heighten suspense, make people feel the tension of what's going on underneath the scene, through, you know, tremolo strings or like electronic effects. The big three that really always just kind of like inform like how I write orchestral music is John Williams, James Horner, Jerry Goldsmith. For more like kind of modern and experimental films, I tend to kind of write in the vein of like Johan Johansson, Johnny Greenwood, Nicholas Britell, and Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross. For non-Western composers or Asian composers, I'm very inspired by composers like Tan Dun, Shigeru Umebayashi, Joe Hisaishi, and Ryuichi Sakamoto. And then a few other composers I'm inspired by: Thomas Newman, Bernard Herrmann. A lot of my fantasy writing is inspired by James Newton Howard, Danny Elfman, Alejandro Desplat, and then like finally like obviously like Hans Zimmer is like extremely influential. Alright, so as part of my presentation, I'm going to walk you through how I score a scene. I'm going to show you a scene from an animated film I did a year ago called Nearsiders. Like, I'll show you the scene with the music removed, so you can just kind of see it with the sound effects. Then I'll kind of walk through it beat by beat, kind of show you how I scored the scene. And then, yeah, here we go.
You want some now or later?
Maybe once we've escaped certain death! Heads up!
Perfect!
Wait, no!
Alright guys, I'm going to give you a little inside look into how I write music and how I lay it on top of a video track. This is the program I use to write all my music. It's called Cubase. It's a digital audio workstation, or DAW for short. So this is how I lay down my notes here. So basically it's, as you can see, this is called the piano roll view. And these are called MIDI notes. So when I put down a note, it activates the sample library and can kind of play the note. This is the video marker channel, so it's kind of like where I lay down the points where I want to hit in the video. Like you see like raw call progress, say boomio, chase resumes. Once I do that, once I like kind of just watch the scene through and I lay down the markers, basically what I do next is I kind of figure out like what themes do I want to use for the film, like how do I want to drive the action forward. So for this film, I have basically a main theme for the two siblings, and I have a chase motif. The main theme I had for the two siblings kind of goes like this. Now I have the theme in mind, like I kind of just start sketching it out, so I'll kind of show you. This is my brass track here. So I'm having trumpets play the main theme. I have the saxophones playing underneath here. And then apart from that, once I have like the bass rhythm and I have like the melody on top of that, usually I kind of start embellishing the weirder, wacky like brass effects. So I got trumpet falls. So I'll play everything together, kind of see how it all fits together. Just the brass section right now. Usually I think next for this particular sequence is kind of like the percussion. How's it gonna drive the momentum forward? I'm gonna mute the brass for now and then kind of just play the percussion by itself. I got a drum kit going on here. I have this library called Motor Rhythms, which is just like all sorts of different like metal struck instruments like bottles, metal sheets. And then I have bongo drums, because obviously you need bongo drums, you need gongs, I have cymbals. So that's gonna be about 70% of the music so far, so. I have a little bit of a piano going on here as well. I have strings here, it's just kind of like filling out the space. I have the piano filling out the space, so. So let's go back and just play everything together, see how it all sounds. What's next is I'm bringing out the action motif. I decided to switch from the brass and then just let the guitars take over here. This is what I had for the action motif. Of like the guitars going like this. Just let it ring out. On top of that, like the brass is still going on, like the saxophones are still kind of adding a little bit of like rhythm, a little bit of like pop to it, so this is what it sounds with it. After that, I add some percussion on top. This time I bring out the woodwinds, which is really just a harmonica. So that's like the last little element going on in here. So this is what it sounds like with all the instruments in place. So I'll just show you the whole segment now, the whole scene with the music in there and the sound effects, kind of see how it all works together and like how it leads from point A to point B to point C.
You want some now or later?
Maybe once we've escaped certain death! Heads up!
Perfect!
Wait, no!
So yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If you want to check out more of my works, just visit my website at bobmymusic.com. And if you're a composer or musician and you're watching this and you just want to, if you have any more questions or you just want to kind of connect, feel free to email me at robertmymusic@gmail.com, because I just love meeting new people and learning from their perspectives pretty much. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you to VASCAM for hosting this, and I hope you learned a little bit more about film composers.